Make a game in a reasonable amount of time? Sure, why not? Alright, the game is done. Wait, what day is it? Motherfuck! There are spoilers for this game, so go play it yourself if you haven't already. We've all experienced Captchas at least once in our life. If you haven't, well, good for you, I guess. And after experiencing a couple of these Captchas, I thought to myself, this could work really well as a WarioWare game. If you haven't heard of WarioWare, the game basically throws a bunch of bite-sized minigames called microgames. The player has to complete each microgame before the timer runs out, and as the player progresses, the game gets faster and harder over time. And that concept works surprisingly well with Captchas. So basically, I hopped on Godot and made a dumb little prototype. I was trying to do like one of those image select Captchas on where you have to like select fire hydrants or signs or whatever, but I kinda need an image as a placeholder. Forget. I'll just use these images. And bam! Here's the prototype. This is so stupid. After finishing the image selection stuff, I then implemented a timer for the game and a points counter to count the points. You fucking idiot. And I admit, the game at the moment kinda looks like crap. But it's like what Aristotle said. Make garbage before the... something, I don't know. I then made a couple other microgames, one of which you have to select like an image that contains a category or something, and another one that's basically just like a puzzle piece. Just to put this out there, these images are placeholders. We do not talk about the images. And if you do, I'm coming after you. And after polishing the game a bit, here's what the game looks like so far. Now, the game gets pretty old really fast, because there's not that much of a variety in the games. But now that I got all the boring stuff out of the way, I was going to add real Captchas for the sake of authenticity. It was until I started to run out of actual Captchas, so I figured, why not just make some random bullshit? So the first Captcha that I pulled out of my ass, I thought it'd be funny to add a Captcha where it requires you to touch grass. Because honestly, we kinda do need that nowadays. So I grabbed a bunch of grass PNGs, and I don't know what to say. All these images are just pure and normal grass. I don't know why, and I then took a couple pictures of my hand, which kinda looks fucked up. And this is what it looks like. I then thought of another Captcha where the player has to scroll down a comically long wall of text, which is basically the terms of service or something, cause who reads them nowadays? So I generated a bunch of terms of service articles using Gemini. Now, before you pull out your pitchforks, let me make this clear. I do not support generative AI. In the case that I am currently using it, I am only using this to generate 100 paragraphs of junk text, while converting to rich text in doing so. It's so that the game can read it and format it properly into its paragraphs and whatnot. Here's the text file that it generated. It's straight up unreadable, and it's practically impossible to do it by human hand. So I generated a bunch of terms of service articles using Gemini, and I think I might have crashed the site. I can't use this site anymore. What? After accidentally burning down the Gemini servers, I copied and pasted the text into the into the game. But the scroll feels kind of boring, so I added some screen shake to add. And yeah, the terms of service game is pretty much done. I then started working on another Captcha where you have to get your phone number verified. The Captcha starts by showing you the first number initially, and then a bunch of fake phone numbers just call you. The player has to decline all the fake phone calls in order to get to the right one. But if the player answers the fake phone call, you get like a prank call or like some random dude or something. Here's the thing though, where would I get my voice lines? This is one of the 20 plus recordings of just dumb dialogue from my friends. So, have fun with that. I then worked on the align Captcha thing. The Captcha gives you a bar and you have to like align the image and crap. The game kind of feels sucky though, so I added some sound effects to it. He's grinding his teeth. I also made the photo snap in place when you get it to align properly, which, not gonna lie, is pretty satisfying. Yes, align that picture. I then worked on the Captcha where you have to rotate the balls up right or something. So I then screenshotted some random models from this 3D site, and I put it inside the balls. I also made a little jumpy animation when you rotate it. Yo! Look at him go! He's got the move! And this is what the game looks like. I then worked on the reaction time test. I thought it'd be funny for the Captcha to pull off a bait and switch for the player. The player will be placed in a false sense of security, thinking it's just some normal reaction time test, until the moment they click it, BAM! You just f***ing killed a guy. Basically like one of those quick draws in a western setting. I took some art style inspirations from a town with no name.
Caramba, that really hurt. Oh, I've got a follower now, so bye.
So I got to work. I took a couple dumb photos of myself and I rotoscoped it in A-Sprite, alongside the background of the cowboy setting, which is just a ripped screenshot from the game. And this is what it looks like. The game's starting to have variety. There's just one thing though. You know what all good games usually have? Fishing. There's nothing that could go wrong with fishing. We use fishing in our everyday lives. It even works underwater. Hi, Phil Swift here with fish! So I started making the layout of the microgame. I was about to photo bash a bunch of crappy stock photo images until I found this, which is the perfect fit for the game. I then added a boat with the fisherman inside it, and you can move the boat with your mouse. Move the boat with your mouse. Move the boat with your mouse. Which surprisingly didn't take that long to code. I then added a couple fishes that you can collect. And, just to be clear, don't grab the shark. They're called fishermen for a reason, not sharking men. And while developing the game, I noticed that the microgames are getting harder. A bit difficult. Maybe even impossible. The joke sucks. The impossible quiz. Problem is, I don't really own the game for myself though. So I reached out to the creator of the game, Splat Me Do, in hopes of getting permission to use the impossible quiz in the game. Hello, I want to know if it's okay to reference the impossible quiz for my upcoming one-shot game, CaptchaWare, which is basically a WarioWare in the style of absurd Captchas, and thought it'd be pretty funny to reference your work, the impossible quiz, as one of the microgames, credited obviously. Here's some snippet of the gameplay if you want to know what it looks like. P.S. Have you heard of the nonsense mod? Now, we wait. Yes, of course. Thanks for asking. Looks like a fun game. Also, what the f*** is a nonsense mod? Alright, it seems like we're in the clear. I then had an idea for another Captcha. I've been playing Cook Serve Delicious a lot and I've been addicted to the game for a bit, and thought to take some inspiration from the game itself. Basically, the player tries to make a burger while following an order in order to beat the Captcha. So this is what it looks like so far. You can make a cheeseburger. Yeah. Wait. You know what's better than a cheeseburger? Cheese. Holy moly, it's like one of those freaking images. And after a bit of trial and error, the Captcha is done. I then thought of another Captcha idea. Since the game is based around internet culture, why not just add the dinosaur game to the mix? Luckily, I found a site that has all the assets ripped from the actual game, so I downloaded every single one, and slapped in the sprites into the Captcha. Here it is. Just like the original dinosaur game, the player can jump and move around and stuff. Wait, what? Oh. Yeah, the dinosaur isn't supposed to move around a lot, so I made him stay in place. I then made the cactuses spawn occasionally, so that the player can jump over them like the actual dinosaur game. I also added some clouds using Godot's particle system, which is a reliable system for making particles. And yeah. That's pretty much most of the Captchas in this game. I didn't mention like a handful of it, so I recommend you should play the game for yourself. But the game still kind of feels empty somehow. Probably because this game has no music. So I then hopped on FL Studio and cooked up some music. You can listen to the soundtrack in the description below, and also check out my second channel. This is where I'll be posting all my soundtracks that I made for my other games and stuff. And I also added some speed-ups in the game, so that the game gets more faster and harder over time. And I also added the infamous Captcha button, which is basically the intro sequence of the game. But there's one thing that I almost forgot to add, and that's boss microgames. I had an idea for 2 endings of the game, but in this video, I'm gonna be talking about the maze game. You've all heard about the maze game, right? Well, apparently not, because surprisingly, a lot of people never heard of this game, which I'll be using to my advantage, because I'm that devious. How the maze game works is that it tricks the player into a false sense of security, thinking it's just a normal maze game to test how steady your hand could be. But the moment that the player is locked in, the game scares the living shit out of you. So I thought of pulling off the same premise of the original maze game, but instead of the girl from The Ring or whatever, I don't know where this image came from, it's just the image of nightmares. I instead put the image of a job application instead, because I thought it'd be hilarious that a job application strikes genuine fear to people. But I don't know if the jump scare actually works on them, so let's see how one of my friends react to it.
What the f is wrong with you?
So the jump scare seems to be pretty effective, not gonna lie. Let's see how the general public reacts to it. Imagine getting scared by a fucking job application. Oh my god. I then made a little intro sequence where the player has to type an email and password. Don't worry, I'm not asking for your actual information. The game just autofills it with whatever, just to add to the experience. I also added a bit of references in the emails as well. I also added the other boring stuff in the game, like a settings menu, a credits section of the game, and fixed a couple bugs and the game is basically done. If you ignored the disclaimer I gave you in the beginning, I still suggest you should go play it yourself, since there's an endless mode, and I want to see how far you'd get in the game. Only after you beat campaign mode though. But anyway, that's basically it for this video. Go play the game yourself in the description below, and you know the gist. Subscribe for more crap like this, go check out my other socials or whatever, and see you in the next video when GTA 6 releases or something. Bet you can't beat my high score. Fucking idiot.